You mentioned you created your own frameworks, right?
Yeah.
So what were some of those frameworks and how can people create their own frameworks?
Good question. um, so usually, I feel that first, learn what others are saying. Just hear what others are saying. They've been there, done that, and their experience. Don't just ignore it. You have to have an open mind and just listen to people, which means don't form any opinions first. Just go with an open mind and start reading and talking to people as much as possible and try to understand how they think about product management. Uh, and then you sit, like literally just sit and try to think about how you can apply this to a real product. Like just get into the shoes of your dream company. Yeah, you want to be a product manager for, say, Facebook stories. That is something you're fascinated with, or Instagram, whatever. So how would I apply these frameworks to solve this problem? And then you see that it doesn't fit every problem that you're trying to solve, and you start to think more critically. And empirically, you try to do a bunch of things, and yeah, it works. You whiteboard. Get a whiteboard. First thing is every product manager's apartment or wherever you're living should have a whiteboard. Don't live without it. So just start making notes of what's right, what's wrong, what can be improved, and try to fit the framework. It wouldn't work most of the times. Then you see, oh, okay, this doesn't work. Maybe it's very theoretical. Can I build something practical that I can actually use in my job? So then you kind of tweak that, and then you start documenting. Document as much as possible. As a PM, you need to write. You write a lot. You speak a lot. You write a lot. You listen a lot. So make it a habit of jotting down things, because then when you compare, you'll see that this can actually fit into a framework. And initially, I started off with the usual set of frameworks that Lewis, Glenn, and others. Pretty popular books. But after I worked on real products, I realized that there is a big gap between what they say and what we do in the real world of product. So I tried to take those experiences, real world experiences, and include that and enhance whatever is already being shared in the form of literature, and came up with my own frameworks, which I'm trying to share with the folks through LinkedIn, which is more practical, because I don't want people to just know the literature or academic viewpoint of what product management is and completely bomb once you're on the job. I've seen a lot of people do that, by the way. They stick to these theoretical frameworks which don't fit. So that's why I always prefer to call it mental models, which keeps on improving. It's like a feedback closed loop system. As soon as you learn more working on real products, you enhance your mental model. Okay, more experience working on more products. You'll work on different kinds of products. I started with working on internal tools, and then built internal platforms, and then worked on customer-facing things, then experiments. So as I keep working on new things, I'll keep feeding the learnings into this mental model, and I keep enhancing that. And that's why my post as well, like I said, it's where it stands today. It may not be the same tomorrow, because you constantly keep learning. So in summary, learn what is there with an open mind from the experts, and then try to do your own review or critique of products that you love, and try to draw the learnings from that and improve the frameworks that's already in place, and realize that it's a continuous process, and not one framework doesn't fit everything. So be open to changing and tweaking things around.
Yeah. Can you give like a small example of an add-on you did to any of the, let's say, the Lewis Lynn framework or something like that?
Yeah, I don't remember any of the Lewis Lynn frameworks right now, but let me think. Like it can be. Let me just take this one example. Investigating the root cause. That was the most recent thing I shared, if I remember it right. So investigating the root cause of a problem is something that you will do very often, because metrics go down, metrics go up, and you're answerable to execs or to yourself. Why did something happen? So usual frameworks just say, look for competition, look for market, look for something on this, blah blah blah. I mean, yeah, that's all a good way to start, but in reality, you actually have a real dashboard, and you work with business intelligence to build a real dashboard. And you have filters to check against different parameters. It can be user category, it can be country, it can be, there's so many things, so many filters that you apply to try to identify the symptom and what's happening, try to get more context on the problem. That is something we don't talk about a lot. We just say clarifying questions, but there's a lot more to it. Like if you're talking about Uber, I shared that, yeah, you need to understand, is it particular geo, is it like filter it by ride type, filter it by, the operating system, the browser, you do a lot of filters. So that was one thing that you'll gain from experience, that yeah, you actually have a dashboard and you have these filters by payment methods, by blah, 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 so many things. And yeah, you need to apply that in a real investigation first before you do anything. Second thing is, a lot of the times it's just false alarms, honestly. Nearly 70% of the investigation that we do like is just because there was some ETL issues on data engineering, or there was some release related issue. There was, maybe this is a trend that it follows. So people ignore that. People ignore and they just think, yeah, this is a real problem. They just assume that it's a real problem and just go all out on solving it. But we spend a lot of time to even understand, is this even a real problem, or is it false alarm? That is something that doesn't get spoken about in Loosely or any other usual frameworks. I don't blame him, by the way. It's a very good fundamental foundational framework to think, but there's a lot more to it. And there's a lot of collaboration involved when you try to investigate the root cause of a problem. You work with so many different teams. If it's an acquisition problem, then you work with marketing. If it's a user experience, you're not able to check out on a page, then it's a UX problem. There are a lot of things that can go wrong, and that's why I've listed all the number of things that can go wrong. And you kind of build a library in your head. Hey, okay, I've seen this, I'll add this to my library of potential root causes. Okay, I've seen this, I'll add this. So you keep building this big library, and that is more exhaustive than what is prescribed in the usual frameworks, and that comes with experience of solving real problems. And also, we try to understand how some metric is calculated mathematically. Like we write SQL queries to understand whether we're calculating things the right way. A lot of the times you just don't measure it the right way, and that's the problem. Your metric itself is wrong in a lot of ways. So these are the things that doesn't get covered so easily in a framework, and that is something I feel everyone should read about, people solving these investigative problems and try to think in the real world, how do you run an investigation. So that was just one of the examples. The same thing applies to everything. Start doing and get into the shoes of real product people and start solving and improving the frameworks.